Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this online session on unlocking your AI potential, organized by Google Developers Group GLBITM. We are thrilled to have you all joined us today to delve into the fascinating world of artificial intelligence and machine learning and its impact on career and industries. It's a privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Dr. Siddharth Dawar, an AI/ML Computational Science Associate at Accenture and a PhD graduate from Triple IT Delhi. With expertise in the field and his experience across the industry, today Sir will guide us to step into the world of AI. Without further ado, Sir, the floor is totally yours and wish you all the best.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot to the organizers and everyone for inviting me. Uh, Please confirm, right, that my voice is coming clearly. Just want to check that, right? And then I'll share my
It's
screen.
it's
So,
coming, sir.
can someone? Okay, that's great. So, yeah, so let me share my screen. Uh, okay, okay. Let me know once my screen is up. Is my screen visible?
It is visible, sir.
Yeah, is it visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So, yeah, let me start. Once. Okay. So thanks a lot everyone for joining. And yeah, I think feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. We'll be happy to connect there. So yeah, the talk today will be on unlocking your AI potential, a career roadmap. So let me see. Yeah. So as we have heard, right, that whenever we use the term AI, like few, I would say, pictures like movies like Hell or say movie like Terminator come to our mind, right, where we see that there will be robots who will overrun the human race and like Terminators and like those kind of movies is what we think AI is or AI is capable of doing, right? But in reality, what we see is like we use AI in our day-to-day life, and basically the applications of narrow AI, right? Where we use Google as a search engine, we use Google Translator, we use assistants like Apple Siri, and we use applications like Google Maps, right, to go from one place to another. So this is like a narrow AI, like AI assisting in our day-to-day tasks, right, in our lives, very integrated into in our lives. When AI started, right, it was like in the year 1956, where an attempt was made, right, and it started like a 10-week project, right? People felt at that time that it is just a problem, right? We can build very easy machines very easily that can mimic human in like just 10 weeks project. But now we see right from 1956 to 2024, and it's still an unsolved problem. Like we are still very far to reach from the artificial general intelligence, right? So that's how it's an interesting history, right? How AI started, and then we used to have like the first big breakthrough, right? Came when this machine called Deep Blue beats the chess grandmaster Kasparov, and then we saw like many interesting games coming up like AlphaGo and all. So that's where like interest in AI kept on coming, and uh, we went ahead with that, right? So coming to, I would say the examples, right? Like here we see that for the companies like Google, Facebook, and YouTube, right? They use they have a model for click prediction. So they take user data, ad data as input, and they will predict that whether the user will click ad or not. And Similarly, companies like Visa and HVSC and all, what they do is they take transaction data as input. They have built fraud detection modules. And similarly, we see uh, companies like Amazon, YouTube, Netflix. They take the user and the product data and they build product recommender systems. So that's how uh, like industry started using AI, right, to build these kind of models, and I would say for profitability and all. So that's how it all started. And then we see some applications of AI for social good. For example, there is an organization named Badwani AI. They wanted to help farmers, right, to increase their productivity, like cotton yield. So what they did is they built an application where the farmer can click a photo of the their crops, and the tool will detect using computer vision and AI techniques that whether pesticides have started to grow, and in what amount should pesticide be sprayed, right, and when is the right time. So we see that a complete system was built, right, where farmer used to get notification on the phone, right, that when is the right time to spray pesticide, so that the usage of pesticides is also limited, right, and crop yields also increase. So that's one application. Then we see another application, and this is more on the Gen AI, coming on Microsoft research, right? So we see Professor Kalika, means Dr. Kalika Bali and her team, right? What they did was they built a tool called it's like to help the school children. For example, there is a community that reads Mundari. So what they did was that they use that in order to teach students, right, like how to read Mundari, and also they built a system that could take your English and Hindi text, and it could convert it to Mundari, and it could create audios for the school children so that they learn their native language. So that's a Microsoft research project to help languages survive and thrive. And then another application is like drug discovery. So when this chat GPT was launched, like large language models are helping scientists to converse with AI, because these models they take a text as input, right? A natural language, they can take your prompts and they can even reply to you in natural language. So that's something uh, like it will help also researchers in drug discovery domain, right, to interface with the underlying data and like to speed up the drug discovery process. And then we have applications like this one is like AI for Bharat. It's an initiative, a research lab from IIT Madras, where the idea is that we want to build large language models for Indian languages, customized for Indian scenarios, like our own translator, our own, I would say, ASR, like automatic speech recognition, our own LLMs for our multilingual languages. So that's an initiative, and interesting initiative that I would like to share with all of you. So, what is natural language generation, right? So, NLP has two sides. One is natural language generation, and one is natural language understanding. And all of these Gen AI and large language models that we see, they are like natural language generation systems. So, examples are, as we saw, like machine translation is there, digital assistant dialect is there, then summarization system. Right now we can give like long documents and input, be it email meetings, and we can get a summary of the document that helps us in our day-to-day tasks. So that's one application of natural language generation system. And then we came across this more interesting use cases. For example, we know that these large language models are good at creativity, so we can generate creative stories. Given a table, it can understand the table and it can convert it the data to text, and you can pass like a visual description and image to the model, and the model can write a caption that what is there in the image. So we have such kind of applications as well. And when ChatGPT was launched, right? It was state of the art, like natural language generation system, because it was the first one, right, where we could write give a prompt and get an output from there. And then it has evolved, right? Like we have tried, like people have tried everything, like poetry generation and all. So, as you would have heard, right, that sometime back, Microsoft they released their AI-powered search engine, and they have also integrated in Edge, Microsoft Edge, your co-pilot for the web. So that is another Apple news. And recently, right, like Transformers, we saw that now these large language models can generate code. So this was one of the first, right, Transformer breaking news, the alpha code, and also that's where like you give it a problem description in natural language, and what it will do is it will write the code for you in the preferred programming language, and this like models have evolved quite a lot now over time. So the groundbreaking research happened, I would say, in 2017, right, when this transformer model came into picture, because transformer is a foundation for these large language models that we see nowadays, and concepts like attention, for example, if there is a sentence, right, the animal didn't cross the street because it was too tired, so we as human know that it refers to the animal, and these kind of transformer models can understand and like can form such kind of dependencies, right, just like a human would do. So that's where like it increases your accuracy and performance compared to like previous models like your recurrent neural networks and all. So that's an advantage of these transformer models. But there is something that we should be very careful about, right? Though we have these large language models and all, but at time they can generate toxic content. They can generate content that is biased against the community, and also, or it can be harmful, like the LLMs might hallucinate, right? So these kind of things we should be very careful about, that there are some hidden biases, and we should be very sensitive of the output being produced, right, that we cannot I would say trust the system blindly, like that whatever it is saying it's actually correct. So, for example, right, this problem of machine translation, like we think that it is solved, but it is not completely solved. For example, here you see that it was like paper jam. It was given in English, and when you convert it to Spanish, like it was a time when I think translator was just launched, so it produced a wrong translation, and even we see biases, right, because if the model is trained on like data where there is a bias. For example, whenever we talk about nurse, right, why do we feel that it is associated with she, and why do we say that programmer is associated with he, right? There is no research that says that only men can be good programmers, right? We have seen so many brilliant I would say our women peers in the workforce, right? So these are kind of bias on which these models are trained on, and we would like to like I would say build I would say data sets, and there are techniques in research in the literature to mitigate those bias. So as a data scientist or as a practitioners, right, or say even as students, right, or say industry professionals, we should be very careful about like such biases, and we should be very mindful of when we interact with AI systems, right? And at times, right, you must have heard news, right, like AI learned from copyrighted material, and also those issues also come up, those legal complications and all, right, that I would say we should be very careful about. And mm, all of this is around the need, right? What I would like to emphasize is that we should aim for responsible AI. So this is one of the first white papers I remember after the launch of ChatGPT that Google published, and it's available there online. So do have a read, and it's interesting to see, right, that how policymakers can also come and work with industry professionals and like researchers and students, and as a community, right, we have to build very good I would say policies, right, to make sure that AI is being used responsibly. So that's the one. And yeah, so it's a very high level overview. So how these models learn is, right, for example, English. We have lot of English movies, text and all available on the internet. So what these models do is they use a technique called pre-training, right? They will say read a Wikipedia article, and it will have sentences, so they will hide parts of the input from the model, and then they will train the model to reconstruct those parts. So there are two important concepts here. One is pre-training, one is fine-tuning. Pre-training means that there is a lot of text open in public domain, so these models can learn, and they build an initial model based on that. Then fine-tuning is like, say you want to adapt it to a task. For example, if I want to predict the genre of the movie, right? So, and say I have a very specific data set, like with very limited genres, right? So I have to fine tune the model on the limited data that I have. So these are two extremely important concepts like pre-training and fine tuning that is there. And now we see with these language models, right? There is a new, I would say, mm, a new field called prompt engineering that has popped up, right? For example, like now you can you can ask the model to explain things step by steps, and you will expect it to give an answer that is like step by step. So instruction fine tuning is also something that is there, like to tune the output, like the kind of output that you want from the large language model. So it's something like prompt engineering that you can do, but it also has its own limitations. For example, right, there is for creative generation there is no right answer. And how do we detect, right, that whether the large language model can is giving an answer that will specify our human preferences? So how to add these preferences in, and how to make the model understand, it's an active area of research. And when ChatGPT was launched, right? Like you would have heard of reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning is something like just like how we see babies learn, right? They touch something, and then they detect whether it is cold or hot, and then that's how they learn that they should not touch things, right, that are hot, and they should not eat things like sand. And also, so that's how as humans also we learn, right? We do something, and then based on the feedback, whether it is positive or negative, then we kind of learn that these things are good, we should do, and this is how we should behave, right? So similarly here you see that reinforcement learning and reward model was used to build like a model like chat gpt, but here still we see the mm, large language models kind of hallucinating. And there have been news, right, like even one mistake can mm, like uh, cause to like lot of drop in the share price and all. And so hallucination is one problem, right, that is still an active area of research. And the research community is going more working more on um, the large language models should learn from their output, and they should use things like chain of thoughts and all. So that's something like the models are going forward there, right? So that's something that is um, happening here in the field. And yeah, before I move to I would say, I think the last part of the talk, which is around career and AI. Basically, what I would like to go through is like maybe I can cover these slides, and then the remaining time, right, we can spend in discussion. So the way I have prepared this presentation is something like that we have sufficient time, right, so that we can have a discussion session towards the end as well, right? So. Uh, does that work? Shall I proceed with this last two slides, or if there are questions, would like to answer? So, uh, yeah, Rudraksh. So, shall I proceed with these slides, and then like we can have a Q&A or a discussion session?
So whatever you feel comfortable with, I think discussion should
Okay,
be at the end.
okay, that's great, that's great, that's great. So, yeah. So for career in AI, right? Usually the question is that what kind of roles like we can choose for the AI space, right? So is this slide visible first of all? If not, let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, it is not happening. Wait, so yeah, let me open the link actually. One second. Okay, how to choose right role. Okay, so let me open it as a HTML and then I think it will be clear. Yeah, yeah. Let me share my screen now. Okay, yeah. Is my screen up?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I think it's what are the different roles, right? So one is like that are available if you want to make a career in AI. So the first one is business intelligence analyst. Like if you are good or you have interest in like taking a data and transforming into insights for business decisions. So that is one role that one can go for. Then the second one is data analyst. Like if you are good at analyzing data, you are interested like using pre-built tools, right? Less code intensive tasks. So data analyst is another field. And then we have field like career opportunity like AI product manager and program manager. So they kind of lead the AI overall product development and from conception to launch and also that's one direction. Then we have an opportunity like for AI consultants like to provide expertise and advice on how to implement AI and AI strategy and implementation part, right? Mostly related to consulting domain. Then we have our software engineer and data engineer. Like now we see that in the software development pipeline, right, companies are also have an AI component that they want to deploy and they want to build products around it. So I think those like pipelines and data engineering is mainly related like if you have interest in big data like Spark and Hadoop and those, right, like how to handle big data and also that can be one career option for you. And then we have this ML ops, which is like you have a model, you deploy it in production. Now you want to monitor the performance, and if the model performance is decreasing, right, then you have to retrain it. So, like the ML op techniques and the frameworks are there that we would like to go for. Then we have like applied scientists and data scientists, basically like applying machine learning and other techniques to solve real world problems. And we have also have positions like AI researcher or AI scientists that focus on like advanced research careers in AI and data science related methodologies, right? So feel free to go through this blog that like it's a very I would say good one, like just to get an idea there, right? So that is one thing. And yeah, let me now share my slide once, please. Okay, okay. So is my slide up now?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, that's great. So, in order to build a career in AI, right? So, what we need to learn first is like a programming language like Python. And when I started my career, like we used to have like two frameworks like TensorFlow and PyTorch, right? So, like these, we had to choose one of them. And I think today also, like we have like these two very good frameworks, very good deep learning frameworks. And then your API design, right? Designing APIs, like how do you connect your backend application to front end? So you have to use something like Flask, Fast API, or Docker, and then now we have these LLMs, right? Like given by OpenAI, say Google Gemini, Amazon Bedrock, and you have so many models, other models like on Hugging Face, you have so many models, and now to deploy them, right, you have to deploy either in either Docker or a Kubernetes. So that is something that also we should learn, right, if we are planning for a career in industry. And as students, right, like we can refer to Kaggle for data sources. And even like when we want to build projects, right, I think we can refer to research papers from archive and other domains like other conferences and journals, so that we can take that problem, like we can implement a research paper also if we want to showcase our skills, right, that we are good at Python programming and we want to build a career in AI and Gen AI. And since like it is like these models are quite huge, right, so we need some knowledge of NVIDIA and CUDA architecture, right? How to deploy, and also that is something that we can do. We should learn. And like recently, right, we see models coming up like Mistral AI and all, right? Like Meta releasing their Llama 3 and all. So that is also, I would say, that has now been added in the roadmap, like what kind of tools and technologies we should learn. And then we have tools like ML Flow and Airflow and Apache Cassandra, right, for big data. And recently has been a rise on the vector stores, right, like you see Llama Index, DB, and like packages like LangChain have come up, right. So that is something that has come up very recently. So with that, I would like to say thank you, and I'll stop here. And the remaining time we can definitely do have a interactive session. So that's why I have prepared the slides in a way so that we can also get some to spend some time with each other, right? So yeah, open to you for questions and feedback, and yeah, for a discussion.
Guys, mic is open for all of you. If you have any type of questions, you may ask.
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Very good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Sir, actually, just you have mentioned regarding the roadmap to build a career in AI. You have mentioned certain tools like Python, Fast API. Can you suggest me
Yeah.
the correct roadmap, how to start and where to end, and how to make good projects in regarding the API, regarding the AI model?
Okay, so definitely. So when one is starting the journey, right? So you see that so many YouTube channels are there. For example, Krish Naik is a very famous one, right? Like to start a career in data science, or say to learn even data mining or NLP, right? Or even to learn Flask and Django, that kind of API development, right? So resources are there. I would say like now, like we have a generation like um, who is who likes to like watch very good YouTube videos and learn from that. So I would say plenty of material are there. Many researchers they publish blogs online, right? So I think that's a starting point that one can aim for, right? Apart from your university curriculum and also go ahead and like to start, right? I hope it answers right.
Sir,
Your question.
actually, my question was, I'm in currently third year and I'm pursuing ML engineer. So I need to switch to regarding AI and have learning about AI. So what is my
Mhm.
the roadmap? Like as in third year, I've completed Python, their libraries, TensorFlow and PyTorch, and now working on Docker. So
Okay.
this is the correct part to become an AI into AI consultants, or should I choose another path, or should I opt another option for that?
Okay. So you mentioned Docker, Kubernetes, and all, right? So these are like I would say starting points if one is looking to become an AI engineer, right? So I would say that for a AI consultant, right, usually it is I think more beneficial if one has a master's or a PhD degree, right? There, in order to jump to say the role of AI consultant directly, but I would still say that it depends upon your interest. For example, like I find lot of, I would say, enthusiasm and passion, right? I like to implement things. I like to say move things to production, and mm, like that hands-on learning gives you actually lot of experience, right? Like in scenarios at what will work and what will not work. So as you have started with your Flask and Docker and all, right, I would maybe one path might be that you start as an AI engineer, but you also keep reading about AI algorithms, right? Like like the NLP and all, right? So I would say resources like Krish Naik YouTube videos, or you can look for other sources. There are now many blogs on Medium, right? I remember when I started my journey, right? There used to be very few blogs, and even deep learning came around 2014, 2015, right here in India. So that's something that is there, right? Yeah, I hope it answers, Arpit.
Yes, sir. It's all clear.
So
Thank you, sir.
I
Yeah, yeah.
think Hashnode is a very good platform as well.
Which one?
Hashnode.
Okay,
There
okay,
are
that's
good
good.
blogs there as well if you want to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
see that.
absolutely. But one thing that I would like to highlight is, right, blogs are good for our initial understanding, right? But if we want to go deeper, right, because in-depth understanding is also very, very important. So you will see, right, that there are blogs that kind of link back to popular research papers. For example, we saw transformers and attention is all you need, right? So I would say more in-depth understanding of the concepts. I'm not saying that we should understand maybe the complete math and all, right? But even a high level understanding, like we should try to learn every day and go in depth, because in depth understanding of the concepts will also help us to grow. And the more we implement, the more we try with different data sets, the more use cases we build, right? Like we try to do it on as real data sets and on as possible. For example, you can pick data sets that research papers have used, right? You can implement to validate their findings, and something new and novel will come up. So that's another path, I would say, a direction that we can pursue to upskill ourselves and grow more. Okay, so we have one question in the chat. Uh, AI limitations are basically like, as we saw, hallucination and all, right? So those are the limitations. But now we see that systems are evolving. For example, if you open Google Gemini, right, in your browser, and it will give you an answer, and it will also refer you to some of the resources from Google that it has used to generate the answer. So systems are evolving, but yeah, I think the bias part, as I mentioned, right, that the answer should not be biased towards the community. And also, when we deploy, we have to be very careful that we deploy AI responsibly.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Hi.
Hello, sir. I just wanted to ask you, I just want to make a project regarding AI, and I also cherish to become AI engineer. And currently, I'm in first year. Can you suggest me how should I do that?
Okay, so in order to build projects, I would recommend, right, that you maybe, I think for a start, pick some interesting problem from Kaggle, right? That is one of the data source
Mhm.
that you can see, and you can see, right, that how people implement, how they publish, and maybe start reading more about AI, right? Like blogs, or say some subscribe to some YouTube channel, right? So that you start with basics of data mining, and slowly and slowly you go and learn like the machine learning algorithms, then move to deep learning and all. So that is something I think that you can pursue as a side, but I think focus more on the fundamentals like Python programming and data structures as well, right? So that is something that you can also pursue. Okay, so I see one question from Arunish in the chat, right? That okay. So I would say look for more internship opportunities, right? So if say companies are not coming directly, maybe as we do our bachelor's and masters, right? Maybe try to get an internship for 2 months, 3 months. I think that's something to start your journey in AI and to make a career there. So in order to okay, so one question from Jigisha is like to learn AI other than Python. Yeah, so usually I think when the field started, right, there were two languages like Python and R. So R was more for statistics background, and I think now like more or less people are more inclined towards Python. It's a I would say simple language, right? Simpler than I would say Java and C plus at least, right? To learn. So lot of frameworks are there. So definitely, I think you can start even having a good foundations in basic and advanced Python. Advanced Python is something that I would say the baseline or the base thing that we should prepare right before we move into AI. And Python will help you in many ways, right? If you go for like even for web development, you do Django and all, right? So I think even for a software engineering or say for a AI profile, learning Python will definitely help you, right? Yeah. So yeah, open to further questions. Yeah, please unmute. Happy to interact.
So there are some questions by Harpreet and Karthik in chat box.
Okay. Uh, so project ideas, as I mentioned, right? So uh, I think you should see that what is coming up recently on Kaggle and these platforms. So that will give you an idea that where to start with. And I think as you progress in your third year and fourth year, try to take courses and subjects right that are related around AI. So you can build some kind of a course project there or some kind of a capstone project. Or if there are opportunities available at your university, right? You can try to go for a thesis, a research thesis, or something like that. So that's something that will help there. So yeah, so we have question from Abhijit, right? What industry do you think are the most significant transformation? Okay, so mostly I see that like content creation is something right that we see lot of transformation, and I would recommend you to follow right all the I would say tech giants right that like Amazon and Microsoft and Google and even Accenture, right? They publish lot of such information that how AI is transforming the industry. So it's publicly available on the website. So whatever is there available publicly, you can definitely go through that to learn about how to like where we see most impact coming up there. Okay, and now we have question from Samarth. Data quality is very important, right? Because otherwise you will see hallucinations and all coming up. So definitely the bias in the data. So I would say having a good quality data is very important. Quantity also matters, but if a data is of poor quality, then model will not get trained and it will not perform like up to the expectation. So that is something we should do. Okay, so job displacement. See, uh, right now AI is at a stage where uh, it is not like the tasks are completely automated and humans are getting replaced. Like it is getting there. Like for example, jobs like content creation and all, right? You see the bots writing content, but still, I would say the human emotions and the way humans write, right? That is something mm, like that is still difficult for a machine to be trained on. But I think having some knowledge of AI, maybe having knowledge of prompt engineering, learning how we can use AI in our day-to-day tasks, for example, whether this is coding or whatever field we are interested in, right? So a human with some knowledge of AI can definitely displace. So I think maybe more learning more about AI and see that how it can help in our career trajectory. That is something that will help us there. Research papers and yeah, so I mentioned in archive, right? It's a library where you'll see a lot of open source papers coming up. For resources, I think you can start with some of the blogs, right? You can see, uh, type something like top blogs in 2024 for your field AIML, and then you can start reading them. There are a lot of media blogs and all, I think, that you can start with. So uh, in order to build career in AI, right? It's a question from Neeraj, right? So I would say if you have if one is quite passionate towards um, say exploring data, like given a data set, one is very curious about finding, right, that what are the insights I can extract from the data. That's an indication, right, that one has interest in learning towards AI. And I think starting with basics like how data pre-processing is done, how feature engineering is done, how feature is selected, like basics of data mining is something that one should start, and in order to build career in AI. So okay, so Harpreet is asking for internship in AI. Usually companies they keep be very active on LinkedIn and portals like Naukri.com and all. So usually you will see a lot of posts from industry professionals, right? Or like companies are looking for internships. So I think that's one of the ways to apply, and maybe look for some of the portals. Like I remember, I think Angel List used to be the one for if one is looking for a startup, right? So I think that's something that one can keep an eye on. So okay, so for metaverse, and I think AI plays a role, right? So mm, so it is like we are building a platform, right, where we have our digital avatar there in those immersive technologies. So it's like AI plus augmented reality. So it's not just pure AI, but I think combination of both the technologies coming up there, and that's a role that it might play. So
Okay, so a question I have on behalf of many of the students. If a person is more into core right now and he want to switch into AI, in layman terms, what is the first step he should take?
okay, so I would say start be good with Python programming. That's where one can start with, and then in order to move to AI, right? I think start with like data mining and like data science that we call, right? So I think if one checks the YouTube channel of Krish Naik, right? I think it's a very good place to start. I would say go step by step, watch each playlist, then say if you read a concept, right, and say there are more concepts related, or you want to get an in depth understanding, start reading blogs first, right? Because blogs will give you a very simplified language, what those concepts are, and maybe you might consider following some people on LinkedIn and Twitter, right, where they kind of post relevant contents, and like a lot of content available in YouTube. And also the idea is like to be consistent, um, go with what you find interesting. So that's something I think as a first step one can do there to switch. uh, and then Rudra is asking how important is. Okay, see, practical formal degree gives you a kind of a, I would say, mm, validation, right? That like AI concepts are there and one has learned. Otherwise, mm, like practical project experience, one can show by like participating in Kaggle competitions and all. So I think that's one way to do that. I would say, and okay, to switch for AI to core, maybe I can type, right. Uh, so data mining and data science, and maybe Krishna videos, right? The YouTube channel to start with. So yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
AI, how AI affect developers? Okay, that's a good one. So So usually, I would say if we are developing something right now that we have these code generation systems as we saw in the slides, right? The alpha transformers and all. So I think we can now we are in a place right where we you have like mm, a co-pilots along with you, right? So while you're coding, so that's something how it might affect developers, right? Like can we use AI to enhance our productivity? That is something that is there, and like you have systems, right, that can build like unit test cases and all, and also I think both in testing and development, AI has started to make an impact there, right? So that's something that is there. Abhiyanand. Um,
I think so. Last 2 to 3 questions we should take. Anyone else? Okay. Okay then. Thank you so much, sir.
yeah, definitely.
We truly
Yeah.
appreciate you taking out time of. I think. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We truly appreciate you taking out time of your busy schedule to share your knowledge here, and your presence were really means a lot to us, and we are grateful for it. Thank you once again to everyone who joined today, and thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you for